All right, we'll go ahead and get cranked up here. Appreciate everyone's attendance tonight, braving the weather. It's good to see everyone here. Isaac asked me to fill in. He's in Brittany or in Portugal, I understand. That's pretty cool. A little interesting fact. Portugal is a major exporter of cork. That's right, cork. Don't ask me, I don't know. I learned that in 4th grade, I think, or something. I don't know. Yeah, it was I don't know. Anyway, every time I think of Portugal, I'm like, cork, you know. So hopefully they'll have a safe trip and enjoy their travels there and bring back some cork. Yeah, that'd be good. They'll probably, we didn't see the first cork over there, so I don't. Cork comes off a tree, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, who knows? There's always one in class, you know? There's always that one. Yeah. Cork board. All right. Yep. Oh. All right.
Let's have a hand raising guess.
A hand raising guess. All right. Let me see if I can remember them now. All of them are, no, just kidding. All right, I've had lunch with Speaker of the House. I've had lunch with a congressman. We discussed the Iranian nuclear deal. I ran track against a Heisman Trophy winner. And the fourth one was I was in Washington, D.C. when Reagan was shot.
Who's the Heisman Trophy winner?
Reagan wasn't shot in Washington.
Washington, D.C.?
I want my trophy back after.
Yeah. Herschel Walker's who I ran against.
I took you off a long time to think of that name.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Washington, D.C.
All right. That's the false one? Or all right. I was in Washington, D.C. when Reagan was shot. Okay. Anybody else? Nobody wants to take a guess?
I don't think you ran against Herschel Walker.
Yep, I did. Yeah, I was a lot skinnier. Okay, I get it now. You know, yeah, 280-pound guy running. Now I get it, but I was a little 160-pound weakling then running. You're right. I was not in Washington, D.C. I was actually at Harding on the football wing, the masculine football wing at Armstrong Hall, sitting there watching Days of Our Lives with the rest of the football team. And they broke in that Reagan had been shot. And we're getting ready to go down to practice, and we're like, wait a second, what about Luke and Laura? You know, and those of you who follow Days of Our Lives, you know what I'm talking about.
That's a different show. Different show.
Oh, is it? Was Luke and Laura, which one was that? General Hospital. Yeah, General Hospital. That was the one we was all tore up about. So we're sitting in a dorm room watching around this one little TV set, that black and white that we could watch with, and had football practice that afternoon, and we're all gathered around, and I don't know, somebody got us watching that stuff, and next thing you know, we're hooked on this soap opera, and they break in and say, Reagan been shot. So that's where it was when Reagan was shot. Remember that. Did have lunch with Newt Gingrich when he was Speaker of the House, and Congressman Desjardins. Had lunch with him, and it was kind of cool. We sat there, and recently, I mean, not like yesterday, but within the last year and a half, we sat down and was talking about, is right after Iran had signed their nuclear deal, and he was, sitting there and telling us, talking to some stuff, which was kind of cool. But anyway. Yeah, pounding around with those bad guys too. That's what's bad. Anyway, it kind of brought me into integrating faith, ethics, and living in today's world, okay? And I wanted to have a little fun with it and kind of look at some of this stuff and hopefully get us thinking a little bit about some of the things that we face each and every day. All right, first of all, is there a need today for faith, ethics in the business and political world? Nah, It's amazing. I just, Laura can tell you, I get furious when I hear the news stories. I'm like, what are these people thinking? What are they thinking? How did they even think that was right? Or how could they even think that that was ethically correct to do? Well, let's step back for a minute, okay? Who can tell me what ethics is or are? What are ethics? What are ethics? Don't be shy now.
Generally, we think of ethics as being a way of life, a code of ethics that we use.
Okay, it's a way of life, a code of ethics. What would that code consist of, Austin?
Behavior, personality.
All right, behavior, personality, morals. Good point. Got a pen for you. Good answer there. Yeah.
Can you do something with that roar in the system here?
I'll see you. Steve, you up there? Nope, there he is.
Volume down here.
Okay. That's what he's saying. It's vibrating a little bit. Reverberating, I guess, is the correct term. So he's working on that. Ethics is basically our actions put into place by our morals. They are guided by our morals, okay? Moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. Now, can ethics change? Okay, why? How?
Some people forget they have them.
Okay, they can't forget they have them, all right? What else? Who decides what is ethical?
If it's a professional code of ethics, the governing body that sets that code may decide to amend that code because of some kind of litigation or, I'd rather have steak dinner.
Sorry, no steak dinner, but a very nice pen that some candidate gave to me to pass out, so yeah. It can change depending on what society kind of directs it to, okay? Now, as we look at that and we think of those things, let's look at some of these examples. Anybody heard of Bernie Madoff? Okay, yeah, Madoff made off with a lot of money, right? All right, if you're not familiar with pyramid schemes, he probably is one of the best at it, okay? Ponzi, yeah. He basically took the money and said he was investing it and then, putting it in his own bank account and all. Sad part is that he eventually admits to it and goes to prison, and one of his sons, who couldn't live with the guilt of the family name being trashed like that, commits suicide. So he loses a son over that, as well as marriage and everything else. Martha Stewart. Everybody remember Martha? What'd she do?
Insider trading.
Insider trading. Come on. Martha, a billionaire now. Well, may have been how she got to be a billionaire. I don't know. But she built her name up. Everybody knows, she can take, a piece of fabric or, paper towel. Next thing you know, it's this nice doily or whatever that she can lay out for Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. And she's very creative. She built an empire on her name. Well, do a little inside trading, meaning that she got inside information about a stock or some company and she invested in. Well, she invested $50,000. Now, $50,000 is a lot of money to me. To a billionaire? Come on, Martha. That's, here you go, $50,000. Now, that was bad enough. However, what really got her in trouble? That was unethical. She lied about it. Yeah. The SEC calls. I'm not talking about the Southeastern Conference, okay? Securities and Exchange Commission. Regulates stock. They can come knock. You don't lie to these guys. They're like the IRS, okay? They knock on her door and basically ask her questions, and she lies to them. Next thing you know, Martha's, toting an ankle bracelet, going to prison. You've got Merrill Lynch and Bank of America. You got AIG and big bonuses. You know, remember when the bailout occurred, they bailed all these companies out, AIG. Oh, we got to have money, we got to have money. Next thing you know, thank you for the money. By the way, here you go. Here's a couple million for bonuses. The tobacco companies, what was their unethical behavior? The what? Yeah, it won't hurt you, you know. Well, we put a warning label on there. Come on, can't you read? Right? Surgeon General says this could cause cancer. Bottom line is it was addictive, okay? And they lied about it. They knew about it. Kenneth Lay and Enron. Anybody heard of Enron? It was an energy company, all right? This golden boy of the stock. Enron was this company that was, they were on the cutting edge of energy. You know, gas, oil, solar, wind. I mean, you name some source of energy, they were into it. And they began cooking the books. Everybody loved Enron. They were a darling stock to own. They began cooking the books, made things look a little better than what they really were. And next thing you know, one of their vice presidents goes to his employees and says, guess what, guys? Enron stock's doing so well, you guys should invest in Enron too. By the way, put all of your retirement in it. Okay, so Bingham signs up, puts all of his money into Enron stock. Enron goes bankrupt, Bingham loses everything. What made him do that?
Yeah, has there ever been any studies about things like this being committed by people in high places versus the blue collar guy? Do they
I'm sure there is.
lock up more than the
Uh,
guy?
I don't know. I don't know to answer it right off the top. I'm sure there's some studies out there, but bottom line is whether you're top guy, bottom guy, whatever, ethics plays an important part in their lives. What made that leader lie to his employees? Greed. I mean, what happens to a person like that? I mean, do they get up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm going to jail today because I'm going to break some ethical rules. What makes them do that? All right, I think I can get away with it. Okay, maybe it's the consequences. Maybe I can get away with it. Okay. Stockholders pressuring them. I got to keep making this thing climb. And that's really kind of how the thing started. Everybody's, wow, this is a great company. And then they realize if we can keep this thing going, it looks great.
Well, they start off small,
They do.
and see if they can get away with it, then before you know it, they can't reverse.
Yep. It happens, and that's what happened. Where one morning, the chief financial officer gets in his nice Mercedes-Benz, pulls out of his gated community, drives a block down the road, and pulls over and shoots himself. Couldn't take it anymore.
Doesn't it boil down to the basics being not honest?
Well, it does. It comes into that. And to your point, what makes them not wanting to be honest? Is it the greed factor? Is it the challenge of trying to get away with it? Peer pressure? Yeah. Maybe it's all of those. You know, there's different things. My point being is, what makes those people different from us? Because you think about this. We're challenged that way a lot of times. And we can say, well, we've been brought up in the Scripture. We know those things. We have a different teaching. We follow a different belief as Christians. Yeah, I get that. But what makes people step over the line when it comes to unethical behavior?
That's the way you grew up.
It is. Yeah, sometimes it is something like that. You've got some others up there. WorldCom bankruptcy, GM and the government bailout. Ford and the Pinto. Everybody remember the Pinto? Anybody have a Pinto and won't admit it? Yeah, okay.
I didn't know the Pinto did anything wrong.
Yeah. Wasn't the Pinto's fault.
Car when you get hit.
Do what?
Let it catch on fire or explode when you got rear end.
Yeah, don't look in the rearview mirror. It may be the last thing you see, right? Because, I mean, that was the problem with the Pinto. It would explode. Now, here's the thing about Ford. Ford gets a report that says, yeah, this thing will blow up if it's hit right in the gas tank. And it kills people. So Ford says, wow, that's a bummer because Pinto's our best seller. Makes a lot of money. I mean, it's cheap to make. We make a big profit off of it. We're selling a ton of them. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So Ford does what any other good ethical company does. They call in their bean counters, the accountants. And they start crunching numbers. And they come back and say, you know what? It's cheaper for you to pay the death claims than stop making Pinto. So they did. Until outcry became so public that Ford said, okay, we get it. Now, depending on the account you read or study or whatever in the business case, I've been told that the part to fix that costs about $1 to fix. And yet they didn't want to have a recall. This was before recalls were recalls, okay? Ethical behavior. So we look at these things and we look at how they can challenge us today living as Christians. We can probably agree that today's business and political world probably needs ethics, but more importantly, they need biblical ethics. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look. Biblically based ethics. You can't get away from this stuff. I mean, this is simple stuff, okay? First of all, treat others as you would want to be treated. Pretty simple. Who said that? Yeah. Pretty simple. Treat others as you would want to be treated. Now, several of us in here have been business leaders or involved in business, and you know how that goes. It's not easy sometimes, especially when they're not treating you very nice. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for us, whether we're educators, whether we're workers, whether we're business leaders, whether we're politicians, whether we're daily walking a Christ-like life. There are challenges out there against our ethics. How to treat others as we want to be treated. Let's look at that for a minute. If you have the Bibles, let's turn Luke 6:31. Now this is Christ speaking here, Luke 6:31. I know Matthew has it in that sermon as well, but I want to follow a little bit longer here in Luke. Verse 31, treat others the same way you want them to treat you. Well, that's pretty simple. Jesus, I agree. That's pretty good. Now, look at what he continues on with. See, it's just not, that's important. I mean, that's the stake. You got to put the stake down first. And that's what he does here. Then he goes on. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend sinners in order to receive back the same amount. All right, here he goes. Here's where it gets interesting. He says, but love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men. Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. Jesus, I was with you after that verse 31 there. But verse 36, 35, 34, that challenges me. That challenges each and every one of us to the very core of what we're talking about, of our ethics. How do we want people to treat us? Are we treating others the way we want to be treated? See, it's easy for someone we like or we love or, we're buddies with or whatever. But when you get into those that are mistreating you, I'm telling you, man, that's a hard lesson for me. It's hard. And we go back and look at those examples, and I can't help but think about where did they go wrong here? Where did the ethics go? It's tough. It's tough. Any questions or comments on verse 31 or following? All right, the second thing, biblically based ethics, is doing what is right. Tommy, what does it mean, do what's right? Come on, man, do what's right.
Just do what's moral and what you know you should do.
All right, what you know you should do.
Don't steal, don't murder, don't.
Okay, and we got a good list of those, so you're right. What else? What does it mean? Do what is right. Give me an example of someone doing what is right in the Bible.
Abraham and his son Isaac.
Okay, Abraham and Isaac, the Good Samaritan. Okay. The what? Moses. Okay. Most of the time. He got that one time, he hit that rock. Oh. But yeah, Moses. Who else? Joseph, yeah. Doing what is right. Pretty simple concept. And yet, we're living in a world where we have leaders, whether it's in business, politics, church, wherever, that aren't practicing this. It's almost as if we've lost it. We've lost our course here when it comes to ethics, biblical ethics. Because you see, society changes those ethics sometimes, don't they? Oh yeah, don't worry about it. A little bit here, a little bit there. Yeah. Do what's right. And then finally, understand you are accountable for your actions. See, that's a hard one there now. Understanding you're accountable. Well, I didn't mean to. Roseanne Barr. It was the Ambien that made me tweet out that stuff. I was half asleep when I did it. Really? Bottom line, you're still accountable. This is a lesson that we, not only ourselves, need to learn and apply to our lives as Christians, but we have to be willing to pass that on. Isn't that what God expects us to do? To be accountable? I'm accountable for my actions. I have to be accountable for myself. Accountable to our families. That's something to think about. And then finally, maybe not finally, but most importantly, to God. You see, it really doesn't matter. Well, it does. Our relationship and all, it does, because that's what ethics is built on. But the bottom line is, I am accountable for myself to God Almighty. Each and every one of us is. Each and every one of us will have to stand before the judgment and give an account. That's what the Bible says. Every single thing? Every single thing. Well, there's going to be a long list of mine, I tell you. That's all right. We got eternity. And he goes through them. So when we start looking at these biblically based ethics, treat others as you'd want to be treated, do what's right, and understand that we're accountable to others, or to ourselves and to our family and to God, then we start having a change in things. People start noticing something a little different about us as Christians. And they should. And I think it starts with some of this. Any questions or anything? Oh, y'all are quiet tonight, man. Y'all going to let me talk till my voice goes. Why do we have the numerous case studies of bad ethical behaviors that these people skipped a class offered on ethics? You know, these CEOs, they're making millions. They're making millions. And they get up and say, well, you know what, I won't throw it all that way, and see what happens. Where did they cross the line? What would we do when faced with ethical decisions and dilemmas? Some of us, each and every day, have that. Some of us, it comes along every now and then. Somewhere along the line, though, you're going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged as a Christian, and it's going to shake you to your core of your ethics. What do you do? Okay? There's been times when I can say, yeah, man, I did the right thing, and there's been times when I'm shamefully saying, I messed up. I messed up big time. Because I didn't treat someone like I wanted to be treated. Or didn't hold myself accountable like I should. I want to blame it on somebody else. Let's practice this a little bit. I got a question for you. You work at a company that produces a product that's independent quality tests confirm is causing harm, death in some cases, to the buyers. The company's viewpoint is that the tests are inconclusive and misleading. Will you quit your job? Will you quit your job? Oh! So my ethics has a price tag. I like it. I like it. How much does it pay? Let's say you're making $100,000 a year.
Quit your job just yet, you know. Try to correct the problem.
All right, so maybe I can try to correct it, okay? All right. Anybody else?
Enough people did the right.
Do what?
I used it and it hasn't hurt me.
You said it hadn't hurt me yet. Let's keep doing it.
Don't you think if enough people did the right thing, then the company'd have to do the right thing?
Well, maybe. I don't know. Ford didn't think so until everybody yelled, yep.
I think it depends on what type of product you're talking about.
Oh.
I'm a nurse at a hospital and I get medicine that can cause harm.
Okay.
Not intentionally.
Right. All right, that's a good point. So you have those things that come into it. There's been some tests that have confirmed it, but the company says, well, that's somebody else's test as isn't our test. In case you hadn't learned, that's two examples, actually. Those are the cigarette companies I'm talking about. And anybody remember the little problem that Ford and Bridgestone had? Oops. The tires. There were tests that came out and said, hey, man, the quality manager on the line said, hey, this tire, something's wrong with it, man. It's not meeting the standard. Ship it on anyway. It's close enough. My bonus depends on us getting production out. Put it on Explorer, next thing, those things are overturning. People getting killed. Oops. Unintended consequence. Yeah.
Dan, is there any difference between a tobacco company which spikes tobacco with more potent nicotine that it naturally has, or the tobacco farmer is raising the tobacco in the first place?
Where's Isaac at when he's a tobacco farmer? No, just kidding.
Raising a product that when smoked contains over 7,000 different chemicals.
Chemicals, yeah.
Over 200 of which is strong enough to kill one. Overdose.
It is. And, you know, Rick, I kind of look at it this way. First of all, tobacco is legal, okay? It is one of those things where
It's legal because of the taxes on it.
a tax is on it, exactly, okay? Just like alcohol.
And I grew it for 11 years.
Yeah.
And I regret it, but, you know, the issue's still there.
It is. And is it, I can see as a farmer, I'd have no problem with it. I could say that. From a tobacco industry standpoint, if somebody spiking it like you said, yeah, okay, we've got an issue. Especially if we're seeing the consequences that have played out according to the courts. Now again, I think a lot of it has just been big money following big money. You know, by that I mean, okay, we're going to sue the big tobacco companies and we have this mega payout, and quite honestly, very few of the actual patients actually saw that money. I mean, you know, you see the taxes on tobacco and everything. I laughed. Some guy from, I was in the Shell state, or the, what is it now? Exxon, BP, whatever it is now, up here, and I was behind the line of somebody who was from Massachusetts, and he was letting everybody know he was from Massachusetts, okay? And he was buying a couple packs of cigarettes, and I don't know, they were $4 or $5 a pack, and he's like, wow, let me have a couple of those things. Oh, okay, here, you know, of course, I'm always getting behind the guy that's wanting to make a speech about something.
You talk like a Yankee the rest of your.
Boston, I can tell a little bit about Boston. Anyway, this guy's going on about his tobacco tax. He said, in Massachusetts, these things are $9 a pack. And he turns around and announces it to everybody in the store. And I'm standing there, you know, all I want is my son dropping peanuts and get out of the way, you know. He announces it. And I, being the quiet guy that I am, said, that's right, and you keep voting for Bernie Sanders, or Bernie, whoever his name was at that time, the representative, Barney Franks. Barney Franks. I said, I guarantee you, you'll keep having those taxes that high. And he looked at me, well, I guess you don't appreciate it. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't appreciate paying high taxes, okay? Taxes, you're right, Rick, it's where the money comes from. And that's, as long as you've got that revenue, the government's going to allow it. And it's not necessarily right. I don't know if it would be, you could argue the point, is it ethical for government to say, okay, we're going to allow it, knowing the damage and everything it does, that we tax it. So.
But you got the mushroom effect in the whole deal. I mean, this is just one issue because it's
Yeah.
causing everybody's medical premium to go through the roof because you're supposed to report the fallout related to all the medical treatment that those people that smoke have, from influenza to heart disease.
Yeah.
You know, you name it, it's related to it. But at the same time, the government condones it. Not only do they condone it, they reap huge revenues from the taxes associated with it. And so,
Which is ironic because
together, it makes one wonder how many billions of dollars
I'm-
could the government save and could individuals save from not having to have
it probably, yeah, analysis probably needs to be done. You're
on
right.
a lot of levels.
It is. And here's what's crazy, it's built on a model that's based on what? You having smokers. Well, what we know happening to smokers? Well, you know, typically they're in that high risk, they die early, okay? Well, I got to have more smokers to pay more taxes into this so that I can cover more of my medical expense. So it's one of these weird setups that the government has to do that. All right, so nobody's going to quit their job. All right. All right, let's see. Let's take you back to high school. You need a high B on the final exam of a required class to pass for graduation. Going into the final, your highest exam so far has been a C. Would you cheat on the final to graduate? No. Oh, come on, Susan.
I did.
Did you? All right.
My dad about to kill me if I didn't graduate.
Okay. Beating my dad or, yeah, okay. Would you? Come on now. Tommy, come on, man.
I'm thinking of a story from my high school.
I remember those days. Anybody else? No? No good at cheating? Yeah. Oh, man. Nowadays, it's creative. I mean, these kids these days, got all this technology stuff, and, they can make cheating a lot easier, and they'll do it, okay? When I was teaching at MTSU several years back, there was I had a class of like 92 in this auditorium class, and, you're supposed to give an exam and walk the aisles and make sure. Man, there were cell phones going. I mean, it was just like crazy trying to round up these guys and tell them not to cheat, okay? Very creative. Now, back in the day, not that I would do this, but we had one buddy of mine, all he had to do was study just a little and he'd make a C, but he didn't. He would get to class early, and on the light shades up above, in the dust, he would write the answers. So he's up there, I'm like, Rick, come on, man, all you got to do is study. This is easier. He's up there writing, is he coming? No, he's not. So he's taking this is English lit vocabulary. I remember it like it was yesterday. So we're kind of cracking up in back of class, and we're watching the teacher and him, and we're like, this is not going to end well for this guy, And sure enough, the teacher says, Rick, either you're praying an awful lot over this test, or there's something on that light shade back there. Dear God, please. He was trying to bluff his way out. So they go back there and look, he's got all this up there. So that's how he cheated back then. So I don't know, nowadays be that. Anybody else? No one cheat? All right. Got one. All right, let's say you're taking a midterm in my class. You notice the person next to you cheating. You're aware that this person's made A's on the last 2 exams. Do you inform the teacher? Where's those ethics at that y'all were spouting out a while ago? What about Mark? No? Sherry said, yeah. Why?
If I know, I'm going to tell.
Okay. I mean, not sitting next to you. She told me. Anybody else? No? Nobody say anything? Tommy, would you say anything? Hey, Jason's cheating, man. You ever go check his?
Back then, probably not.
Okay.
It depends on
What age you are. Depends again. Well, wait a second. What about those ethics, Miss Joy?
I would just sit back then, no, but today you would turn me in.
That's interesting. You're where, okay. Most of the time when I ask this question, everybody says, are they messing up the curve for the class? Well, they could be. Well, yeah, I tell them if they're going to mess my grade up. So get into that. Let's see. You need a larger tax refund this year. Do you misrepresent your tax information on your return for a larger refund? What? Why?
Stealing.
Not enough to get caught. Okay. Very good, Michael. Do what?
You might actually believe those IRS scam calls.
Yeah, you may do it.
Gotta give Caesar whatever is Caesar's.
I like my free.
Yeah, that. Don't you love it? You're sitting there, you're filling out your tax return, and this year I owed, so I'm sitting there, I'm filling it out, and I'm like, and I'm listening to all this at the same time a news story coming on about how they've wasted stuff and they've got all this going on and free tuition for everybody that wants it. I'm like, what? Why am I paying this? So nobody's going to cheat on their taxes?
Hey, they fired like 3/4 of the IRS people, so So, I mean, you ain't gonna get audited in no time.
The odds of you getting caught cheating on the test I was just talking about versus you getting caught on your taxes are a lot greater.
You single, no kids, but you got a dog. How you explain that?
Yep.
Well, if you're always gonna get caught, God's gonna get it.
Exactly. Going back to that accountability, right?
You never get away with it.
Exactly. And that's where we have to use the mirror.
What if the Lord treated us like Ananias' fire years ago, you know?
Well,
Same principle.
could be. Yeah. Was that the first or second? Was that it? Okay.
I'll do another.
Do another. Oh, man.
Can't even read that.
I can't even read that one. Let's see. Let me go with one more. Yep.
I keep thinking of every question that comes out, that do any of us really know what we would do in any given situation? Look at what happened to Peter. He just knew, there was no way he could do it.
Right. And that's a great point. And to your point, Gail, I don't know. We like to think that, okay, we're like Peter, we got our ethics, we know this and that. And I do think we have to hold on to that. I think that's got to be our anchor in our life. But Satan knows where our weakness is. And we've got to be prepared for that. And again, understanding, great point a while ago, is that we are accountable for ourselves. We are accountable for ourselves. And that's not always easy. That's not always easy. All right, this last one real quick. You've been diagnosed with a health condition that will take their life in a short matter of time. It's your loved one. A wonder drug and treatment that's been available in Europe that will cure them at a moderate price. The drug's illegal here in the U.S. The FDA has not approved it, though. Your loved one's too sick to travel. Do you smuggle in the drug to help save their life?
Yes. Wouldn't think so.
But you won't cheat on your
We
income
smuggle
tax.
stuff to Mexico all the time.
Yeah, we do. That's it. Anybody?
Danny, I was just thinking, a couple of slides ago, you were talking about the company that you're working for and the ethical question there. On the flip side of that, as many years as I've been doing what I'm doing, you would be shocked at the number of unethical people that try to wrongfully accuse a company of wrongdoing. Example is I've told several people in here this story, but I got called at 11 one time. This lady bought a pound of rubber balloon that had 3 brand new wood screws in the middle of that pound of balloon. Detection equipment, it could detect a quarter of a pinhead, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
And she would, and when I saw it, I immediately got mad, and I'm trying to contain myself. And she told me that if I wasn't going to take care of it, she was going to sue me. And I said, well, that's fine, man, because we've got lawyers that countersue for fraudulent. So here's my card. You know, we'll handle everything out of it. But we have to keep lawyers, as small as my company is, on staff to ward off fraudulent claims.
Unethical behavior.
Weekly basis, but on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's true. I'll leave you with one last thought, guys. We're the light into the world. As we read, Jesus said He's the truth, the way. We're that light. Let them see our ethics. Let them see us walk in Christ's light. Thank y'all for your comments.